Teofimo versus Jermaine Ortiz. Teofimo pulls out the decision in a very controversial decision, and rightfully so. Now, I scored the fight a draw. I don't think people like that scorecard, but I think that's the correct scorecard. Now, I see people score it really wide for Jermaine. I don't agree with that either, but let's talk about the Teofimo one, right? Because scoring at 117, 111 for Teofimo is incorrect, but it's not just incorrect, it's cheating. That's the only way to get to it, is that you were cheating. Okay? You were scoring every round for the bigger name. And this is what they do. They do this to guys like Jermaine Ortiz, who does not have any pull in boxing, doesn't have a big following, doesn't have anyone that's going to really stay talking about this situation after it happens. They know what they could pull on people. So they do it, right? When they can. They know the right guy, they can do it too. Now, I don't think scoring in boxing is as bad as people say it is, right? I think it has a bad rep. I think it's what it's known for. That's not great. But in a lot of cases, people just are too confident in their scorecards. So they yell robbery when the scoring isn't what they thought they saw. But this fight was a robbery. Because 117, 111 for Teofimo is ridiculous. And if we don't do anything, we just let this scoring happen. Right? We just let it happen. Just let that judge move on and forget that this happened, and we just give the record. Jermaine, you lose. Teofimo, you win, and we just move past it. And now we have to report his record like, oh, look, he's only lost the one time he came up. So it's like, not really, right? Not really. Because, like I said, at bare minimum, he should have had a draw here. Or lost to Jermaine. But we just move past it. And because they know they can, they'll do that. And we have to do something about it. We can't just let it go. We can't just say, oh, okay, that's fine. We have to hold these judges accountable. These judges in this small sport cannot have this much pull and power. They cannot have this much freedom to just do whatever the hell they want and not have to explain it to us, the people that are paying and watching the fight and putting their effort and their commitment to it and putting their heart into watching it. And the fighters who's taking risk, like a guy like Jermaine Ortiz, who a win like that would really catapult his career, change his whole life trajectory. But now when he takes a loss and it's a robbery, or he doesn't get the draw right, so it doesn't even have like the storyline, or says like, oh, okay, Teofimo, we can fight again. We can do this again. Or at least you have a draw with Teofimo, so now you go to the next fight, you're a bigger name, and you have a little bit more leverage. No, they took all that away. And so now Top Rank is just going to give him a fight to say, all right, let's get back, or it might give him a tough matchup with an up-and-coming guy, and it changes his whole career trajectory. But people will just forget it. Just like they forgot that Zorilla got robbed when he fought Prograis. Right? Just like how they forgot that. Just let it go. Because no one really cared. Because I understand the style was not the most exciting. I understand that the strategy used isn't the one to really gain a bunch of new fans. Right? I get that. But the sport is what it is and the rules are what they are. You do not reward a guy for just coming forward. I'm sorry. And the fact that I see a lot of flaws in people scoring in general, right? Not just how Teofimo, the robbery, but just the fact that people trying to explain like, oh, well, Teofimo was coming forward, so he should win rounds. It's like, well, no. Let's make it simple. Let's make it easy. Who was landing the more clean, effective punches? That's it. If you base your scoring just on that, you will not have to really dispute anything or get in these huge arguments or anything like that. You could just say who was running the clean, effective punches. When you start talking about ring generalship, you start talking about defense. You start talking about anything other than just punches. Well, then that gets into interpretation, and then suddenly, we're not judging a fight. You're becoming a movie critic. It's what you prefer, right? So the art, you're now judging art. You're saying, oh, well, I didn't like the way he moved here, and I didn't like the way his style was doing this, and I prefer a guy that fights like this. Get away from that. No, the style or the way someone does something should not matter when you're scoring a fight. It should be just the amount of clean punches landed compared to the opponent. Whoever lands more should take the fight. Now, a guy's landing 2 jabs and the other guy lands a big right hand, I'm going to take the big right hand. Now, if a guy lands 10 jabs and the guy lands a big right hand, I'm going to take the 10 jabs. See, it's easy to fill out, but you should go with the guy who's landing the more work. Clean, effective work. Don't get yourself mixed up on this interpretation of what you think, oh, well, he was making a mess. That doesn't matter. You shouldn't lose points for attempting offense. You should only gain points for landing offense. That's it. It makes it so simple. And that's why the scores for Jermaine Ortiz wide Where I think a lot of times people just score fights when a guy is not supposed to win, starts having good rounds, and people don't really like Teofimo, so they have no problem and are maybe looking forward to him losing the fight. So when there's a possibility of him losing the fight, people just start giving every close round or every round that feels like it's Jermaine Ortiz round or every round that feels a little bit more competitive than it should have been to the other guy. I think that's what happened. I think one way the fight was crooked and the guy was scoring for Teofimo because he was the bigger name, he was the guy. And then people were excusing it because they said, oh, well, he's coming forward. Not something you should score on anyways. The other guy's being crooked. But people were scoring wide for Jermaine because they wanted him to win. They liked the story of it. It was unexpected. It was the most entertaining outcome that was going to happen that night was Jermaine Ortiz upsetting Teofimo Lopez. But I just scored on punches landed. Who lands the most clean, effective punches? I think that simplifies everything. Now, we need to fix the scoring when it needs to be fixed. And with that 117, 111 score needs to be fixed. It needs something to happen. You can't just let it go. You can't just move past it. We got to keep talking about it. We have to keep bringing attention. We have to have some regulations in the sport. We have to have holding people accountable in this sport. But we also have to come to agreement on how to score a fight. And I think that if you start getting into all these other things, it's going to add more confusion. We should just go by the clean, effective shots. Who lands the most of them in a round? And who wins the most of those rounds in a fight should win the fight. I think it's simple as that.